Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What is up, wrestling fans and trading card collectors? Worlds colliding again.
Together again.
That's one of those weird things where how do we keep coming back if the worlds keep colliding? Because then they would be non-existent.
The universe is a very big place. There's more worlds to conquer.
We're like the wrestling version of the Marvel universe. We just keep regenerating ourselves into a different.
Yeah, can't be killed off. I could be written back in.
This is going to turn into some weird X-Files type show before too long. Keep talking about.
Is that an After Dark episode? Okay.
It might be. We need to do another one of those pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about women of the Attitude Era. This is mainly going to be Tony carrying this show. I'm a little under the weather. My voice is about to give out. But not only that, I have to admit, I'm not one of these jabronis out here saying, I'm the master of the wrestling card world. I know everything there is to. No, I don't. So this is around, most of this stuff is around the time period where I was buying stuff occasionally, but I wouldn't say I was like diehard in the hobby. So we're going to start with release recaps. Tony?
Well, you got first off your release recaps. We have to define the era of Attitude Era, which technically, if you want to Wikipedia, it's like that. It's basically late 1997 through about mid 2002. So card releases that came out during that time frame are going to be Comic Images, Art Box, and Fleer. So that's the time frame we have. So those are the kind of card sets that we have to, and then your oddball stuff, of course, through other international stuff. But that's pretty much what we had during that time frame. So Comic Images, you're putting out Superstars. That's their first one in 1998. So we had that. We had the SmackDown, both the regular version and Chrome, and the No Mercy set, which is an all foil set. And then I think people kind of overlooked that WrestleMania Live photo cards, which, not my cup of tea, but, you had 6 kind of cool gold foiled stamped chase cards in that set as well.
Are they different sized?
Yeah, they're like postcard.
Like a postcard?
Size. Yeah.
Do you think that's one thing that people don't like them as much just because of the size?
Possibly, but what I did notice, during the years of doing conventions, is I started to see a lot of those early on, people bringing those in because they were great to get signed.
Yeah.
So it was bigger than a trading card, but smaller than an 8x10. It kind of fit perfect for that,
Makes sense.
So I saw a lot of those getting signed by people during the years. But then you kind of go into, Fleer years, which I know my notes are kind of screwed up a little bit because I put it in the wrong place. But,
which
Fleer,
I have to pause and say, if you want more talk about the Fleer years, we have done an episode on that in the archives, which got some really good feedback because there's a lot of diehard Fleer collectors out there that I did not realize. So just wanted to talk about that before we move into talking about this. So go ahead.
Yeah, they did. When Fleer took over, and we're talking specifically for the Attitude Era, by the way. So there's Fleer put out other stuff beyond the Attitude Era, and we got into the Aggression area. It's like that Ruthless Aggression, which they actually had a set called Aggression. But you had WrestleMania, you had Ultimate Diva Collection, Raw's War, Championship Clash. Then you had your oddball stuff too. You had the video games, the SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. You had the KB Toy Store type stuff.
I love those.
Get Real, what it's called. I think it was called Get Real. But all that stuff, design wise, character wise, photography, picture posing wise, it all defined that area. It was all it had a lot of attitude, so it defined that area. And that was a fun time. I mean, wrestling as a whole was at its peak, during that Attitude Era, during the Monday Night Wars type era. So it was everything was kind of being merchandised around wrestling. We had everything from trading cards to your normal action figures and your T-shirts, but you had stuff like, bobblehead type stuff, and you had hot rods and miniature cars and stuff like that. You had you name it, they had all kinds of. I'm surprised they didn't have condoms, or something like that. Or who knows? But they had all kinds of weird and cool things. It was everywhere. TV guide covers,
air fresheners for your car.
Air fresheners. Yeah, I have those. I have those WCW ones. So, I mean, it was just everything was being. There was so many licensing agreements during that time frame. It was unbelievable how many licensing agreements were done for different things, and trading cards were no exception. I mean, they, comic images, and let's not forget Art Box. Art Box put out two lenticular
the
sets.
lenticular sets are cool. Yeah.
And the first one they put out was in '99, which was kind of a set, like a 42 card set, I think, something like that, whatever it was, where they put you think I would know at my own website, but it was kind of sectioned off, like here's the Stone Cold subsection of the set, here's the Rock set, and here's the DX one. But then they did another one, a lenticular one in 2001, which, there's a Trish Stratus card in there that goes for a decent amount of money because it's one of her first cards ever. And it was a Trish Stratus, what's called Full Motion. And it's just basically a card of her shaking her butt. That was it,
Of course it's going to sell.
Of course it's going to sell. And, I've seen that thing sell anywhere from, on the low end, like $10, $7, $8, $9, $10, all the way to $60 for that card, for a base card.
So speaking of that, out of these releases in this section, and you can take this from the time that they were released until today, what are you saying that seems to be, like, you just mentioned one, that Trish card. What's some other cards that you see that either sell for quite a bit or just are generally popular regardless of the value?
Superstars, you're going to look at The Rock. Okay. And you got two cards to choose from that. Card number 5, I think it is, and card number 15 or 17, whatever. So he has two cards in there. So there's a pose shot with him in the title. I think
specifically the women's cards, though. Like,
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's right. I'm just going with the whole thing. Women wise gonna be Trish, Lita, China. Those are gonna be ones that you're always gonna want to go after. The Superstar set had a China card in there, which I think is grossly undervalued. I mean, I say that about a lot of cards, but when you talk about China, I mean, that's the epitome of Attitude Era right there, really. I mean, doing something that a woman superstar had never done before. I mean, winning the IC strap, winning, entering in a Royal Rumble. I mean, just so many things that she did, and then it was just never done before, and I don't think it's been done really since, really. So I think that she's grossly undervalued across the board as a whole, to be honest with you. But people always look for the Trish and then the Lita stuff like that. But in that time frame, you also had Ivory, and you had Molly, and you had Jacqueline, Terry Reynolds. These are all, when you start getting into the Fleer stuff and they start putting out Kiss cards and autographed Kiss cards, those always hold some decent value. But I think your top tier are going to be your Trish, Lita, and China. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the Kiss cards are the ones that, even with the, I don't mean to be disparaging, but like the lower talent, the lower tier names, like,
sure,
it seems like the Kiss cards, even still, for those, hold like a lot of value.
They do. And they're individually numbered, which I never was a big fan of because they're hand numbered to 50 in most cases. I've never been a fan of hand numbering because there's just so much like potential to like have two number 1s, two number 50s, that kind of thing.
Right.
But they do hold quite a bit of value. They weren't astronomical odds to find those like that. They were difficult, but they weren't at the level of like an AEW product where it's thousands and thousands of packs possibly.
Sure.
But I mean, finding something of China autograph, kissed too, it just holds value. I mean, you're also talking about a company, Flair, was doing something that hadn't been done for wrestling cards before.
Which we talked about before with their relics and the styles of cards. Adding these to it.
You had the Kiss cards. You had stockings. You even had there was one of them that was like I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but it was like a bra card or something like that, like a piece of their bra. You had a piece of like Ivory's scarf. She had a scarf that was to get like a feathery scarf in that. There's like a little like a fishnet almost kind of like thing for Trish on one of them. A blouse top. I mean, just all kinds of things that were just
things that are not just a black t-shirt swatch.
Exactly. It was just something that wasn't done before. And then all that stuff was on card. It was all on card signatures.
So we've established basically the big names that most, like, I think, the names. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. There's a lot of people within wrestling cards that, even if they don't have a huge attachment, they want to go get those big cards because they are established or they're legends. So we've kind of established Trish, Lita, China. Those are kind of the names that you'd be looking for if you're wanting those big names.
Yep.
We've talked about some of the cards that are holding value. What are some of your favorite cards personally that were released within that time?
I mean, I think that China card in the superstar sets, it's a cool picture of her, all muscular, wearing that white top with the black bottoms like that, whatever, and just kind of standing in the ring. It's just a great shot.
It's a good image, yeah.
And when you start getting into the Fleer years of stuff, I really liked. And you know what? And we talk about the Attitude Era. I mean, that's strictly defined. That really is strictly defined to WWF, though, right? I mean, we're not really talking about WWE at that time or ECW.
Not really, because I think there were some of these products that had maybe some of the talent sprinkled in there, but it wasn't like,
because that same time frame that we had this Attitude Era, you had tops put out their WCW stuff,
right.
98, 99. That fits right in that time frame, and you had cool things from them too, like a Gorgeous George, embossed cards like that, or a Kimberly, embossed card. I mean,
I just don't think the women there were doing what the WWE women were, though.
Absolutely.
So you have that, but they also weren't doing the same type of cards either. It was just base cards.
Let's also not forget, rewind to about Big Stars. Let's also not forget about Sable. Sable was a big time person as well too. So she had her first cards coming out during that time frame as well. And even though there's a little bit of controversy about whether or not she signed her actual cards for Comic Images, they still, did well. And I don't know what the secondary market's going for on that kind of stuff today, but I don't think she holds the same type of value as a Trish or Lita or China does. But let's just also not forget about Sable stuff. And she hasn't signed anything since that Attitude Era days.
Something else that I just thought about Trish, Lita, and China, they're still in the public eye of wrestling fans.
Lita's coming back for the Royal Rumble.
There you go. And look, Trish was in the 5-timers insert set.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great looking card.
They're both featured. They're the female equivalent to your male legends. They're the female legends.
Yep.
And so they get your Trish, your Lita, your China. Those, especially those four right there, seem to always get that level. And then you get, you throw in your Miss Elizabeth and stuff like from other eras, and Sunny possibly, and Alundra Blaze and things like that. But those during that time frame of Attitude Era type, those are your go-to girls right there when it comes to the females of women of Attitude Era. But you get in the Fleer stuff, and then you can take your pick on any number of those girls, and then the high-end stuff, their Kiss cards or autograph cards. Then you sprinkle in that championship class. You sprinkle that Stephanie McMahon autograph.
Yeah.
That's a great on card, and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley signed.
Yep.
Which is even cooler. I mean, she's signing as the gimmick, which is awesome.
One thing I want to throw in here, and I don't know the exact fact, but we've talked about it before. Wasn't there a China autograph card from this time period that was cut and put into a more recent set?
Yes, that China autograph card, which is really funny, it was taken from the Comic Images No Mercy card.
That's it.
And it's got a picture of her with, I can't remember who she's in the ring with, but the way they positioned that card was a one-of-one cut signature for a Topps product. And the way they positioned it, they positioned it so it was angled in a way where you just kind of saw her signature on the card and the bottom part of her, but you don't see the person because it's angled in there. I'm sure it's got to be for not having to pay someone something, I guess. But I thought it was funny that they cut a Comic Images card to put into a Topps product.
Yeah, but I had to mention that because I know we had talked about it, and since we were talking about her and autographs and stuff like that, I had to throw it in here. What would you say was your least favorite cards that were produced during this era?
Well, also kind of going back to favorite stuff, it's not talked about because not many people have it there. Comic Images was supposed to put out and we talked about before, an all women's set.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
And they only had promos. I have one of those sets of promos. There's 8 cards that, but I'm always curious to see what they would have done with a card set had they ever gone through complete, production of that product. But anyhow, least favorite ones. I'm not a big fan of the Ultimate Diva Collection. It was the first all-female set.
It's funny you say that because I'm actually even familiar with that set, and I've looked at it and just been like,
okay. I didn't like it. I'll tell you what I like about it. Is I think I like the where they had the male people and it was like partnerships. So like, no, that was Absolute Diva. That was Absolute Diva set, which Absolute Diva technically came out right at the beginning of the aggression era, so it doesn't really qualify as an Attitude Era type stuff. Has a lot of carryover women. All of those women came over from that time frame. So, but then we get into the aggression area. That's when we start including Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler and stuff like that. They came in at the end of the Attitude Era, and then for WWE and got into the aggression area. But I never liked the Ultimate Diva collection. I didn't like that bubbles design.
Yeah, the design is what was bad for me.
It just they made up for it with nice chase cards. I like their the chase cards that came out of that set, but I just wasn't a big fan of I don't know, that base design, even with a gold parallel, which was kind of cool to do parallels, but I just wasn't a fan of that that whole design of I don't know, the base set. Like I said, but they made up for it with they had I guess I should say part of the base set that I did like was the Divas and Hedonism set, subset. That was a cool design. That was a cool look. I did like that one. That was like the tail end, like cards 85 or 86 through 100, something like that. That had all the Divas and Hedonism. So that was kind of cool. And then getting the parallel, that was kind of cool. But then they had what was the chase from that? Bad and Beautiful. No, I'm gonna look. Bad and Beautiful chase was good. National Assets was a cool thing. The Kiss and Tell was kind of fun as well too. And then you got into the ring accessory stuff. So they're high end for the chase stuff, kind of made up for the poor base design. So, but if I'm just going for a poor design as a whole, Ultimate Divas is kind of my least favorite of that entire set.
Yeah, as much as I am not as familiar with this era as you are, that's one of those sets where I have seen it, and I also feel the exact same way as you do. So it's just kind of funny. So if I'm a casual during this time period and I don't like it, and you know all about it and you don't like it, that should tell you all you need to know about this set.
So, it was just, I think what part of what bothered me about that, it wasn't almost, you know what would have made it for it? Maybe it wasn't the actual border design of the bubbles, which kind of I wasn't a fan of. It was the fact they kind of used the same pictures from the same photo set throughout the entire set. So like every fifth card or sixth card was Trish, right? She's number 1, she's number 6 or 7, and she's not, or number 10 or whatever it was, because they alternated. Like it was the same, like Trish, Tori, Trish, Tori. So I mean, Tori was in there, I guess. So it was the same, girls obviously, but it was from the same photo shoot. So it was like, it was Trish with a white background looking to the left. And then number 10, Trish with a white background looking to the right.
Right.
It was just kind of like, you couldn't have picked other things to do, like other pictures at all. Like that was a time to use in-ring action stuff for me, I thought.
Yeah, as much as we don't like action shots, that would have even been better to use then.
But it was all the same. It was just the same photo shoots for each girl, basically.
Right. So kind of tying this into what we like to do with This Is Your Card, what would be like your dream card within this time period?
Do you happen to have did you give us any thought about a dream card for yourself?
It's something that would be cool now and commonplace now, but you wouldn't have seen it there, and that would have been a booklet auto, like a bigger.
We seem to be going. We're always leaning towards booklets lately with our designs.
The thing I like about the booklets with certain aspects that we've talked about is that there are so many names that represent a time period or represent a theme. And this one for me, it would be Chyna, Trish, Lita, and I like, you kind of like, Stacy Keibler, maybe, I don't know. There's a spot there, and I just don't know who I would put on that fourth one. But I feel like, the Leaf does they do really cool designs with like all these relics, right? Have you seen any of their relic cards that have like 8 or 16 different relics? So I think something cool like that on one side with autographs on the other, or maybe half and half on each, even if they're sticker autos. I just think it would be a cool design to like. It would be like if you want to switch it over to the male version, it would be like if you had a booklet of the Attitude Era that had like Steve Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, something like that. So that's the same idea I had with it, because I mean the women definitely stand out, and we've talked about them over and over. Trish, Lita,
I'm surprised
China.
when you mentioned that from the male side. I'm surprised they never did like a DX, like with an X, to cut out. They did one for exposures like that for the Diva stuff, and they never did one for like DX, like shaped like an X with like a relic in there or something like that. That would be kind of cool. But dream car for me, I had to think about it, and I really couldn't come up with anything that was really overly wow. It'd just be like a simple design, but I would imagine featuring Trish and Lita probably is arguably your two most popular people, or even like a China event worn card of any kind, since she never officially had one.
Right.
Like she never had an event worn card. She was slated to have one for Championship Clash, but it was on the drawing boards. There's actual print. You can see print versions of them, of what it was a mock-up, but it never got done. It would have been cool to have that, I think.
A little bit off topic, but do you know if, and you may not know, but do you know if anybody has any of her gear or any autographs or anything that's still able to be used? Like, does Leaf have anything? Do you think if Topps maybe has anything kind of shoved away?
There's stuff floating around out there as far as, I worked with China towards the last year and a half of her life. So like that, I did a lot of conventions with her, a lot of shows with her. And I was put in contact with, Anthony, who's, everybody kind of knows from the documentary, of course, her manager. And I consider her a friend. I have a lot of voice messages from her that I still have saved, and video messages that, we would talk about back and forth that were saved. But she signed a lot. So there's a lot of merchandise out there with her signature on it. But ring gear, I don't know. I'd have to talk to Anthony's like that and message him, because if anybody had it, he would probably have it if there is any.
It just seems like that would be a prime opportunity for Leaf to come out, because like I talked about it on one of my videos on my YouTube channel, but I recently purchased the triple swatch of Vince McMahon, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Roddy Piper, and they're just basic swatches. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but you just don't see a Vince McMahon relic, period.
Oh,
but period. You rarely see even Heenan stuff. You don't hardly see any Piper stuff, and I was like, that's why I like Leaf so much. Is it doesn't have images or likeness, but it gives you opportunity to own pieces that you couldn't, own otherwise.
Yeah.
And, have China on there. And I bet you they could eventually get Lita, and they could eventually get Trish, even though I know they've got the WWE ties. I'm sure they could find some workaround to get that done. That'd be something.
I thought it'd be cool to have like a DX one where you just have like a Shawn, Triple H, and China together, of some kind of a swatch of all three of them.
Yep. You could even do like a die cut too.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to do some sort of X with a die cut. That'd be fun.
That's always fun to do that. So.
Well, that was a really nice trip back down memory lane. Actually, I kind of want to go just flip on Peacock and watch some wrestling from this time period. This was also around the time period where I was like in and out of wrestling. I was like die hard up until like 2000. And then I was just kind of jumping in and out until about, 2009, 2010. And then I started watching again, but in and out. So it is a definitely interesting time period. Hopefully this has helped a lot of you guys if you want to go back and check out some of the cards, some of the names or talent that is in some of these sets. So anything else you want to say before we get out of here about Women of the Attitude Era or any of these cards or sets specifically?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. It's like that. I'm sure I probably missed a few things. There's just so much to cover with even that era. There was so much stuff that came out, even like the KB Toy stuff that had in there as well. And but it was just it was a good time. There's so much fun. That was a fun time for me to collect. It was just you go after certain cards, and sets were easier to complete as a master if you wanted to. And then those companies putting out different things that hadn't been done before, like even Comic Images for the No Mercy.
Yeah,
they put out event worn materials like that. They had a Chris Jericho one. They had Road Dogg. I mean, they had some good stuff in that then. So it's just a fun time for me. It's a good time for me. Looking at those kind of cards, it takes me right back to that whole Attitude Era anyways. And looking at even some of the few card sets that I will actually read the entire backs of as well.
Cool.
So look at the Superstar stuff and you just see like the wording and how they were trying to be hip and cool and cutting edge. And, they're trying to be like, things didn't end in superstars, didn't end in S and ended in Z.
Z, yeah.
It was just that was the attitude then, so it was fun. So
that's what it's all about. That's we say it over and over again. Cards connect you with things. It's about nostalgia, and ultimately that's all about having fun. I hope you guys have had fun today. That's what we're here to do, is educate, have fun, expand the wrestling card hobby. If you've enjoyed this show today, please leave us a review. Hit subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. If you're seeing this on video after the fact, thank you for watching. Again, if you've already listened, regardless, hit the subscribe button. Tell a friend about the show. Tell a wrestling fan or somebody that that collects maybe other cards that might want to get into wrestling cards. We're just trying to expand the hobby, get more people to have fun, and just realize that, wrestling's fun. It's a lot of people don't want to admit it, but I know there are a lot of wrestling fans out there.
Oh, yeah.
So, Tony, let everybody know where they can find you and anything else you got going on lately.
Well, before I go that's kind of play off what you're saying, even just engage with us. I love to see comments. I want to, see people have comments, talk about what their favorite cards are from this time frame. Were you like a Tori fan, the Tori, the fan, not the Tori Wilson one? Were you a Jacqueline fan? Were you the cat? You like the cat? Whatever what fan you were, I love to hear about it. I love to see what people's comments are about this stuff, and just talk about the Fleer years, talk about Comic Image and Art Box. And they had a great, by the way, before I even wrap it up, Art Box. One of my favorite cards, I think it was really popular, was called the Ultra Rare from the first Art Box sets. One particular set was an ultra rare one called Sable Revealed. And it was just her when she took her top off and had the little tape on her on her breast, and so that was the ultra rare side. You wouldn't see that today.
Oh,
that
no,
wouldn't happen today.
No,
but they had that then.
We're gonna have to do a whole show about Art Box.
Even the risque, Trish shaking her butt in the full motion from 2001, that wouldn't fly today.
No,
it just wouldn't fly. But so I enjoyed talking about it. I want to hear people's comments and what they liked about that time frame. But you follow anything you want is on WrestlingTradingCards.com. Check out the bottom of every page. All the social medias there. You can contact us there.
And you can find everything I'm doing at Zhan Morning on all social platforms. Wrestling with Cards, the podcast. Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. Links to everything in the show notes. Please subscribe. Once again, tell somebody about the show. We appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us, to download this, to watch this. Until next time, we'll see you.